Hi, welcome back to the Traefik video series, and now I've lost count what number it is. Okay, so this is the HTTP challenge, and I'm going to demonstrate using a real web server how it works. I have a web server in AWS which has certain IP address and which is providing virtual hosting to multitool.lab.pragma.com and nginx.wbit.com, these two hosts, and I'm going to use HTTP challenge. So let's do that. And by the way, just so you know, so the DNS for each of these two completely different domains points to this IP address here, which is let's check, dig nginx.wbit.com 3.121. Let's copy this one here. Hello. Okay, and let's try to put it here. So this is the IP address of the web server. Fine. And nginx.wbit.com points to this IP address, and multitool.lab.pragma.com also points to the same IP address, right here. And I have my server here, and I have a stack running, but I'm going to shut that down for you. Docker compose stop and docker compose remove -f. So I can show you from beginning what this example looks like, and ideally this is actually example 4 in the in this directory, cat docker compose.yaml. Yes, so I'll just show you directly on the server here. This is the web server. I'll clear the screen. I'll do docker ps. Nothing is there. I will edit the docker compose file for you. I have Traefik reverse proxy running, and I am mounting a special file. This is very important, very important. This is a special file which Traefik looks for. Not all LetsEncrypt client look for this file, but Traefik looks for this. And when it starts for the first time, it goes and checks, gets the certificate, and then it needs to put it somewhere. Now you can eliminate this line and it will still get and fetch the certificate and will put it in the container in this file, but it will not be persistent. The moment container dies or restarts or is stopped, this file goes away because it was inside the container. So we have to have it outside the container, and that's the only way to mount it inside. So when the Traefik process will go and fetch the certificate, it will put it in the file inside, which is mapped outside, and it will be stored on the file system. This has a role, this has special role. For staging, let's say you go and fetch a staging certificate, we'll get it, put it here, and you start the service. And let's say your service is experiencing problems. And every time it's restarting every minute, or you restart it every few minutes and very desperately trying to fix things. And every time, if this line is missing, every time it goes, fetches the certificate, stores it in the container, and then you kill it, and then you restart, and the same process happens again until you figure it out. So you see no problem here, not much of a problem, until you hit the staging server's rate limit. Assume you had production certificate here and you still did not have this volume mount. So your computer, your process, Traefik process, the LetsEncrypt client will go talk to the production certificate server, get the certificate, get it and store it in the container, which is not mounted outside. So it is in the container, it is running or working. And if for some reason, if it dies within a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, or you kill it yourself and restart it, then the Traefik process comes up, tries to see, do I have a certificate? It sees no certificate. I'm a clean state. I'm in a clean state. So it goes, talks to the server, gets another certificate, stores it. Fine. But this can happen only 5 times, and then you are locked out for 1 hour. So you have a problem. But if you have this line here or if you have this file mounted somehow from outside in the container, or the other way around, either way, you have some way of persisting it. Then Traefik will start, it will find this file, then it will first see if this file contains a certificate which is valid, which needs renewal or not. And if it doesn't need renewal, it considers it valid in terms of timestamp. Then it just skips the request and fetching part from the LetsEncrypt server. It just brings it up. So if you have this persistent storage and your certificate is being stored in this file on this storage, then your services can restart 100 times, 1000 times, it's okay. Because then every time they restart, they will find the certificate. And they will only need to contact the LetsEncrypt server when the certificate needs renewal, or when you want to revoke it. So this is a very important line, and that's why I spent a few minutes on this one. So this is one new entry in this file. We have a multi-tool image, which is mounting Pragma network multi-tool, and it has this front-end rule, multitool.lab.pragma.com, and we have another nginx, which is for nginx.wbit.com. Okay, 2 different domains, 2 different hosts. And we are going to use HTTP challenge for that. So let's modify Traefik.toml file, and we have the standard HTTP and HTTPS entry points here, the same admin username password. And in Acme we have, so this time we have Acme section, which you have not seen before. This is new, all of this. This was not in the previous examples, because until previous example we use self-signed certificates, not Acme. So you need to have an Acme entry, you need to have entry point set to HTTPS, and I would strongly advise to use Acme logging set to true, so you know if your Acme process is encountering any problem. And then you use an email address, and then you specify storage where the Traefik process will find the file or will store the certificate in. Same thing. and then which certificate server to use. So in the beginning I would always use staging to make sure that it works, okay, because I don't want to be locked out. And this is something which I will show you in a moment, but you need to have Acme HTTP challenge enabled, and its entry point should be set to HTTP. And the reason is, let me show you the diagram. When you start the server and your server is not HTTPS configured, then where are you listening? Definitely on just port 80, right? So you can't ask the LetsEncrypt certificate, the certificate server, that please you can fetch your file from https:// whatever, because the server would ask the LetsEncrypt client to place a file from at a special location, and will try to fetch it over HTTP port 80, right? And that is what was wrong in the LetsEncrypt how it works page. It says it listens on HTTPS, which is wrong. The server contacts the web server for the first time on HTTP, because there is no HTTPS anyway. So anyhow, let's go back to terminal. So you have HTTP challenge set, and then you specify which host you want certificate for, right? So right now I can modify it and make it lab.pragma.com, and this is a domain, so I need to say multitool.lab.pragma.com. So HTTP challenge can only get the one certificate per host, I mean per FQDN. So this is how it will look like. Let's start and let me show you how it works. So docker ps docker compose up -d, and we do a log follow-up mode. Very good. So this is a follow-up mode on Traefik, LetsEncrypt Traefik, this container. It is starting, listening on 443, listening on 8080, listening on 80, Docker provider, Acme provider, and it's testing certificate renew, and it's not doing anything else. It has stopped because the certificate was there already. That's not what I wanted to show you, sorry. Control C. What's happening is, let me show you, what's happening is it has found the certificate in a file because of my previous attempt. And if I do a cat on acme.json, it's very simple. It's just a file which contains some certificates, and the most important thing to look for is whether it's valid. This is valid in terms of time, not valid in terms of browser certificate validation. And if it is getting the certificate from staging server or production server, and then what domain or FQDN it is getting the certificate for. So let's skip all of this. Control L for screen clear. Docker compose stop and docker compose remove -f, and I'm going to remove this acme.json file. Remove acme.json list. It doesn't exist anymore. This is a production certificate. I just kept it for no reason. I can delete it, of course. Till the time I'm not abusing LetsEncrypt, I can request a new one, so that's all right. So let me delete that as well to remove any confusion. List -l. I have docker compose, I have traefik.toml. I don't have acme.json. I need to have it on Docker systems. I need to have it, so at least exist, make it exist. So I would do touch acme.json list -l. It's there, but its permissions are too loose. They need to be like this. So change mode 0600 acme.json list -l, and I see my file 0 bytes in size. Okay, I can start my container now, my stack. Oh, come on, up -d, and I'm going to monitor the logs. What's going on? Let's see what's going on. Very good, something is happening. I started this version, several servers, provider, Acme provider, and you see it's testing certificate renew, and it finds that it is completely empty. Okay, so what it does is it goes and registers it, and here's the Acme registration process in front of you. It registers my account. It says I need a certificate for this FQDN, and then Acme protocol uses HTTP 01 resolver, and then it finds whatever the internals, the files are not shown here, that which file is placed where. It just says server validated our request, and validation is successful, and certificates are being validation successful. Then it requests certificates, and then certificate responds with the certificate, and then the service is restarted. This is a restart message because it starts listening on the ports again. Now if I try to reach this file from outside, I should get HTTPS, right? But before that, I'm going to show you what the file looks like. Normally you'll find the file about 13 kilobytes in size. If I do cat acme.json, it's a file here. It has my account ID. Status is valid, which is valid in terms of time. I'm repeating again and again. That means it has not expired. 90 days have not passed yet. It is getting a staging certificate. This is the private key. This is the host name for which the certificate is issued. This is the certificate for this host name, and this is the actual certificate content, and here's the private key for the certificate, and that's it. And then LetsEncrypt handles that internally. It's the service itself which is consuming the certificate, so it restarts itself. Let's try to browse this. I'm going to type in multitool.lab.pragma.com, and it's not succeeded. Why? Multitool, no, multitool. Yes, here it automatically detected a redirect, and there is a certificate. I want to see the certificate here. It says invalid, but that's okay. What it should show here, two most important things, is that it should show that it is issued to this name, and it is issued by fake LetsEncrypt intermediate x1. And the third thing which might be important is the time when it was issued. That was a few minutes ago, so that's the certificate we are talking about. And if you want to be super sure, then you just go on and check these fingerprints. But anyhow, all right, so this certificate, we see that it is coming from LetsEncrypt. It's a staging certificate, which is good enough for me for now. I don't want to consume my quota for production certificates, so I will, for now, I will just continue with staging certificates. If I proceed, I see my network multitools default HTML page, which just says Pragma network multitool. This is the container ID, and this is the IP address it got from the Docker. All right, very good. So this works. Remember, I had another service running here in the same Docker Compose. There's Nginx running, which is listening on this host, this FQDN. And if I do docker ps, I see that it's running. So Traefik is running, Pragma network multitool is running, Nginx is running also. Let's see what happens when I access that one. So it goes on and it tries to get some certificate. And notice what's the problem here. This is a great example actually. If you notice, it is a common, it's set to Traefik default certificate here, and it is issued by Traefik default cert. Why is that? It is because we have enabled in our Docker Compose, we have three services. We have Traefik, we have multitool, we have Nginx. We have asked Traefik to get certificate for multitool, and it got it, and multitool is working on with the certificate issued from LetsEncrypt. But we are also serving nginx.wbit.com through the redirected HTTPS method, and when the traffic comes here, it doesn't have a HTTPS certificate. At least we did not request it from LetsEncrypt, right? So this needs to be served. But what will Traefik do? It doesn't have certificate for this FQDN from LetsEncrypt, so it creates its own. It creates its own. It creates its own default certificate and issues assigns it to this FQDN, and that is what you see. It will still go on, and it will still let you browse or visit this website, whatever it is, but the certificate is incorrect. How to fix that? So it's very good that it showed up and we fix it. We at least understood it. So let's fix this one. Let's first of all bring down our stack. Very good. Our stack is down and is cleaned up. I'll clear the screen. List -L. I will remove acme.json file because I'm going to get a new one. Since it's staging, I can take. I have some leniency available. Is there anything in Docker Compose I need to do? Nothing. Vi Traefik.toml file. I go down to the Acme section, and here what I'll do is I'll simply disable this acme.domains part. which is requesting certificate for just one FQDN. And I'm going to say on host rule is true. What this will do is, and my CA certificate is still staging. What this will do is, I don't need to specify any hosts here. So imagine a situation where you are virtual hosting 20 different websites for 20 different friends or 20 different clients. You can't possibly keep modifying Traefik.toml file every time some host is brought up or something, some host is removed from your configuration. So what solution we have here is we just enable this on host rule is equal to true. Just set it once and exit, and that's it. What on host rule equals true does is it checks the Docker Compose, it checks the label, this label on every container, Traefik.frontend.rule and host rule. And if it finds it, it automatically uses this to contact LetsEncrypt and say, please give me a certificate for this one, this FQDN. And it gives it to it after, of course, going through the HTTP challenge. This is only for HTTP challenge. And then it requests for the next vhost or the next container it finds, and it asks LetsEncrypt, please can I have another certificate for this one? And says, sure, go through this challenge, this HTTP challenge, and here you go. So you don't need to actually maintain the list in Traefik.toml. Let's see it in action. So we have Docker Compose PS, nothing running. Very good. Screen clear. Docker Compose up -d. And did I remove my file? Sorry. Let me just stop before I mess up. I mean, I can't mess up, but I don't want to confuse your mind. So just assume it's still stopped, nothing happened. And we are going to clean up properly by removing acme.json as well. Yeah, so there's nothing here. And I'm seeing this is an eyesore for me, so let me fix that. Well, that's completely unrelated. Okay, this was just an eyesore for me. Okay, so what I've done is I've removed the acme.json file completely. I'm going to touch acme.json. If I don't do that, Docker will create a directory for this one, and then it will be messy situation. Touch acme.json and change mod 0600 to acme.json file. ls-l. I see it's a 0-byte file. Now I can bring up my stack. Once it's up, I check Docker PS. I see 3 services. I'm happy. I do ls-l. I see something here which is 3 kilobytes, but I know that certificate will take time. It will take sometime 1 to 2 minutes. So I'll just monitor the logs here. It started here. This is the Acme provider which started. It tested certificate renewal. It saw that the key is empty, so it has to register. So first of all, it goes and registers nginx.wbit.com, and then multitool.lab.pragma.com, and then we go through the HTTP 01 challenges, and then the server validated our request, validation succeeded, requesting certificates, server validated our request, server responded with the certificate, server responded what? With the certificate. So we are getting server responded with the certificate for this one and also for this one. Both containers, both vhosts, so to speak, although they are not vhosts, but I'm just using the term here. There are two different containers, but there are two different FQDNs, and Traefik was successful in getting certificates for both of them from LetsEncrypt. But let's see what it looks like, right? So if I do ls-l now, so by this time when I was talking, all of this has happened and the file has grew up in size. Let's see what's there. So I see a valid certificate in terms of time. I see a staging certificate. I see not staging certificate. I see that staging server was accessed. I see some private key. I see a certificate section issued to multi-tool, and then the actual certificate with its key, and then I see another section and then a certificate for it, and this is nginx.wbit.com, and a key for it, and that's it. So I have two certificates now from LetsEncrypt, and I should be able to visit my websites properly, still getting browser invalid certifications, browser certifications invalidations, sorry. Let's open another incognito browser. Let's go to multi-tool. Let's not go to multi-tool this time. Press enter. It's going to multitool.wbit.com. Sorry, lab.pragma.com. I can do HTTP and see what happens. It gets redirected automatically, and all I'm interested now is certificate. So I see a certificate was issued to this one from fake LetsEncrypt. Very good. I can now proceed, which is there. And now I can check nginx.wbit.com, and I'm being redirected, and I see a certificate error. I check the certificate, and it's issued to nginx.wbit.com by the LetsEncrypt certification server. Very good. So my HTTP challenge works. I've shown you example in which I was able to obtain the certificate for one FQDN, or even two, or even more if you have. So now it's very flexible and automated in a way. The last thing which you might want to see is how does a real certificate look like. Come on. So I'll show you that. And to avoid any possible problem with production server, I'm going to just limit. First of all, I'm going to limit to one FQDN, because I also have to show you domain DNS challenge, right? So I do docker compose stop, docker compose remove -f, and by the way, when you are done testing your certification mechanisms using staging server, you are supposed to remove the staging certificate from your persistent storage. So I'll clear the screen, list -l. I'm supposed to remove acme.json when I want to change to or switch to the production LetsEncrypt certificate server, and I'm supposed to recreate this one as empty file. It's empty, and now I'm going to modify traefik.toml, go to the acme section, and this time I'm going to remove this and going to request just one server certificate for multitool.lab.pragma.com, and I want to get it from production. So I'm going to comment the staging server URL, and that's how it will get the production one. Okay, I think that Let's Encrypt or all these clients should enable staging by default, and production should be on choice. The default configuration you get, staging servers is commented out. That means you get production certificate, and if there's a problem, then you just get blocked out. So I don't think this is a good idea. It should be other way around. But anyhow, let's come back to what I was trying to do. I'm trying to disable staging so I get production certificate, and I'm just going to get one certificate for multitool.lab.pragma.com. That's it. I'm going to save and exit, and my stack is down already, which I verify. So let's start. Docker compose up -d, and let's do a list -l. Acme.json is very small in size. I'm going to do the logs, check the logs, what's going on. So here's the Acme provider, and then it checks certificate. It sees it's empty. It goes for registration, registering my account, and it's using production URL. It's doing HTTP challenge, server validated our request, validation successful, requesting certificate, server responded with a certificate. Hooray. Control C and do a list -l. This time the certificate looks bigger. At least the file looks bigger. Let's have a look at it. Acme.json, and here is the first thing. This is a production URL, doesn't contain the word staging. That's how I recognize it. And there's the private key, and then there's a certificate which was issued to this FQDN or this host, and this is the actual certificate with its key. That's it. So it's running. We just have to verify. Control Shift N for incognito. multitool.lab.pragma.com, like so. HTTP. I want to see redirection and action as well. There you go. It didn't give us any error. It just simply got redirected and it just got displayed. And the certificate padlock is also properly locked. And if you click on this one, it says certificate is valid. If you click on this, you will see certificate is issued to this common name or this FQDN, fully qualified domain name or host name, and it's issued by Let's Encrypt Authority X3. It doesn't contain the word fake in it. So this is a valid certificate. Very good. So that's it. It works. The HTTP challenge, I've shown you that it works, and it's there on a public server. I showed you in the diagram a scenario, HTTP scenario 2, in which you are behind a router right here, and I said you can just forward the ports to your server and still use HTTP challenge, and of course it makes sense. But the problem, one of the problems in such setups is that sometimes you don't have control over this router. Like I'm here in this office right now, and I'm in a shared setup, and the internet connection is actually controlled by another company here, and I don't have access on it or access to it. So I cannot set up this NAT port forwarding to my server. And even if I had access to it, maybe I already have another server running, or someone else has another server running, and they already have port forwarding enabled already. So in cases where you don't have access or control over this router, or if you can't modify the port forwarding for whatever reason, then you can't use HTTP challenge. Then you have to use DNS challenge. And that is the topic of our next video. But for now, recap: we served two containers serving two different websites from using two different FQDNs or host names, using HTTP challenge and getting certificates from LetsEncrypt, both staging certificates and production certificate, and it works. And I just remembered one more thing I should show you. I told you that restarts are a problem if you are not saving this file, right? So before I switch to the other video or go to the next topic, I want to show you something. Docker compose ps shows that my process, my stack is running on my public web server, and I have my file as well. Notice the timestamp 1711. It's a file running. I will stop my stack and I will remove the running containers, right? And I just started again. I check the list of files. My acme.json file is still there, 1711. I will just bring up my stack again and just check the logs, what's going on. Here. What happened? I did something very quickly. What I did was I did a docker compose up, and then I immediately did docker logs minus follow-up mode, and I see docker provider running. I see acme provider, and it's a production server. I mean production certificate server. What is it doing at 1717? It's first checking the certificate for renewal. It has found a certificate because I don't see an entry which says key is empty or found an empty key. Nothing of that sort. There's no registration going on or nothing. So I can press Ctrl C here. I check the list of files, and my certificate file is still timestamped with 1711. And if I check my web browser and do a refresh on this, it still works. It's a new container. You notice here there was some change here, but the certificate, if I click this one, the certificate is still the one which was issued at 511 or 1711. So when you have persistent storage, it doesn't matter how many times your service restarts, it will still find the same certificate. But I'm not advocating that your applications should restart every minute or so. They should not. But it's just something that you should know. Alright, so the HTTP challenge topic is covered. It's finished. Let's go to the next topic, which is DNS challenge, and I'll show you examples using that in the next video.